Let's wrap this thing up talking about the big recruiting weekend in Austin, Texas. Texas welcoming number 4 ranked TCU Horned Frogs. And the game itself will be high stakes, right? I mean, Texas is actually favored, 7-point favorite. Sarkisian already came out and said he believes the atmosphere will be electric. Game day is going to be there for the second time this year. Like, in terms of the on-the-field stakes, you have all that you could want. However, the list of visitors from a recruiting standpoint is really intriguing. We're not going to go name by name here. There's a linebacker that is formally committed to a school that rhymes with Lexus A&M. Sounds like he's going to be in the building that day. A lot of guys that are already committed to Texas, a lot of guys that are uncommitted, a lot of guys that are committed to other schools will also be in the building. A lot of guys that are top players in their position. So the stakes on the recruiting trail are also pretty high for Texas to make a good impression. So here's how I see this for Texas. For them, this is an audition for all those visitors. Because think about it this way. When you're at, your own house and you hear the neighbor next door cranking the music, hear the sound of laughter and good conversation, you look over the fence and say, oh, there's a party going on over there. And you just start to think about, man, what's that party like? Maybe I want to go check it out. That's what I think this is. And the question you're asking as a recruit, when you go to games like this, whether you're an unofficial visitor or whatever kind of capacity you're visiting in, not just this game, you're asking the question, do I want to be a part of this? I did the same question for myself when I was on the recruiting trail trying to figure out where I wanted to go. Now, Texas wasn't recruiting me, but I'm just saying that's kind of the thought process. And for Texas, there's a couple of ways to answer this, but here's the scenario I want to throw out to Texas fans. The best outcome for you, if you're rooting in this game for Texas and for the recruiting trail to sort of heat up even more than it already has, the best outcome that would help Texas recruiting is a win, obviously, but not necessarily a blowout win. That might be nice. It probably wouldn't hurt the recruiting trail, but I think a win with adversity would really help Texas for a couple of reasons. First, the post-game celebration in the locker room would be like unbelievable. And that's not really a super insightful analysis, but I'm just saying if you're a recruit and you walk into the Texas locker room after that game and it is bumping after you just beat TCU after coming back from 10 down, like, hey, I'm just saying it's a good time. It's a cool place to be, cool atmosphere. That sticks with you. On a more serious note, I think the true colors of your program become very, very visible. And what have we always said about Texas? What has everybody always questioned about Texas? Okay, they've got the recruiting power, they've got the facilities, they've got the brand. What's under the hood there? Like, what's under the hood when you step between the white lines and they get tested, they get pushed around? What's the culture like? And you can't hide culture when you're down 10 points. That's when it gets exposed. If you're able to have a come-from-behind win for Texas and answer that question in a big way for recruits, I'm just saying, I think at the very least, you show them who you are. And if a recruit is, for whatever reason, turned off by that, if they want to walk after you have a game like that, and maybe their thought is, well, they got down against TCU, and if I'm going to a school, we shouldn't be messing with, if we have the brand of Texas, we shouldn't mess with TCU. Like, if that's their approach, I would say let those guys walk. If that's their response to how you play in that game. What I would imagine the response is from a recruit, if you're able to have a sort of revealing win in that kind of fashion, I would say I'm bought in. I would say, okay, I have a lot of my questions answered. I'm ready to roll. Let's get this thing rocking. Food for thought. The last thing I'll say, a win in that kind of fashion would prove it's a new Texas. And maybe a blowout win would prove that as well. A win in general maybe helps prove that case as well. But if they can come back in the second half, and again, I'm not asking for like a 28-3 sort of comeback. I'm just saying have some grit about yourself if you're Texas and be able to show that. I'm just saying I think that would do a lot for kids. Because going back to that narrative, they're trying to fight it right now. A lot of these kids, they've heard about the Vince Young National Championship team, and they understand that Texas has been a storied program before, but they didn't grow up in that kind of era of college football. The thought of Texas being a top-tier program for them is still relatively a new thought because they haven't really been new Texas yet in this generation for them. They've been the old Texas. They've been the underachieving Texas. So to show some grit, to have to go against adversity, and to have a big win against the top 4 team in the country at home an incredible atmosphere in DKR, I think it would do a lot for them on the recruiting trail. So for Texas, it's a huge audition. A lot of folks that are already committed to your party, or maybe uncommitted to a party in general, or maybe they're already at another party. They want to come check out your party. This is a huge audition. I think a win with some resistance, with some adversity, would do a lot to land the right kind of guys into your program. I'm excited to see it. Should be a whole lot of fun. But again, a big, big weekend for the Texas Longhorns on the recruiting trail with all the visitors that they have coming. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.